Hello, in this video I'm sharing one of my all-time favourite practices. It's from the Kundalini school. I can't remember, I watched a video and that's where I kind of ripped it off from, and I normally like to credit the people that I borrow or reuse stuff from, but I can't remember. But it is a Kundalini practice, one of my favourites. It's a great one for raising your energy levels, for becoming a bit more aware of the energy centres within the body, and I always find it quite cleansing as well. Before I begin, there's two breaths we need to be aware of. One is the full yogic breath. We can do a few rounds of that now, so make sure you're in a comfortable position. With your next breath out, you can release all of your breath from your lungs, and then inhale, taking the breath down into your belly, then into the rib cage and all the way up to the collarbones. As you breathe out, you're breathing out from the collarbones, the rib cage, and exhale until you feel a slight pull in the abdomen. And then we repeat, so we're letting the belly relax as we breathe into the belly, up to the rib cage, all the way to the collarbones. One smooth breath out, collarbones, rib cage, breathing out until you feel the pull in the abdomen. And just one more time, this is our full yogic breath, taking it up to the collarbones and then down in that reverse order, breathing out until you feel the pull in the abdomen. So that's our full yogi breath. The other breath we're working with is the breath of fire. For this, the inhalation becomes passive, so we take one breath in and then really strongly and rhythmically we can contract the abdominal muscles, which will push the diaphragm up and expel the breath, and when we relax the belly, then the diaphragm drops and the inhalation will come in without us doing anything. So for this, that one breath in, and then we go pulling navel to spine and just relaxing the muscles. It does take a little bit of practice, so you might want to try away from this video. If you can't get the breath, you're not familiar with the breath and you don't want to practice, you could instead work, imagine that there's a birthday cake a long distance away from you and you want to blow the candles out on that cake. It's going to create a very similar effect within the body to the breath of fire. So we've got the full yogi breath, the breath of fire, and we're ready to go. Starting in our cross-legged position. You might want to change the cross of the legs if you're feeling a little stiff. Ideally though, we do want to start with the left leg closest to the body. Let me swap myself around, and the right leg in front, so you can do the opposite direction to me. Imagine that you're sitting on a clock face and we want to pivot the upper body around. So we're going to feel a change of balance of weight on the sitting bones. We want to feel the weight at the back of the sitting bones, to the side, come all the way forward so you feel a little pressure on the perineum. And you can keep the upper body quite heavy, rooting down into the sitting bones. That's it. As we pivot around on the sitting bones, this is the basis of the movement. So we stay with that. But then become more fluid in the upper body. So as we come to the back of the sitting bones, we can collapse through the spine. Stretching into the side as we come forward, we're going to lift up the breastbone, expanding the chest, stretching into the other side, the back of the body, and becoming a little more fluid and creative with the movement in the upper body. As we're doing this, use the abdominal muscles, become aware of the abdomen and really use those abdominal muscles to bring a bit more stretch and movement into the body. You can move in a rhythm to go with the breath. Maybe expanding into the chest as you inhale, collapsing through the spine as you exhale. And we'll just go for one more turn. And coming back to the center, just notice the effects that practice has had on the body, particularly from the navel downwards and around the center of the spine. Watching that process. And then once the body has settled, if we can uncross the leg and change the cross on the leg, so right leg closest towards the body, and we'll do the same going in the opposite direction. So first starting off with that pivoting around the sitting bones, gently stimulating our root center as we come forward onto the perineum, the literal world. And then becoming more fluid with the movement, touching on our second energy center, Swahistana, the sacral center, the realm of sensation. Feel your way into the movement. Start to use the abdominal muscles, touching on that third energy center, Manipura, solar plexus, and fire. You can feel that warmth around the solar plexus, our inner sun. Continuing just for a few more rotations. Stirring up those fast free energy centers. And then coming back to the center. And just observing again any shifts of movement from the navel down to the root center. We might experience movements of energy as feelings of tingling and heat, warmth in the body, a fuzziness within the body, fine vibrations. So just observing from these things. Looking for any signs, shift and movement within the chakra system. And then we'll move on to one more exercise, stretching or stimulating those first three centers. For this, we're having the legs out in front. We can bring the hands beside the hips. If we can then take the right leg in towards the inside of the left leg, really doesn't matter where this leg comes, wherever it kind of naturally and easily goes. Bring the foot to the inside of the other thigh, and we're folding over the leg. Sitting up, swap legs, and fold. The only things to really be watching and precise about is that the ankle remains in line with the hip joints. The knee and the toes point up towards the ceiling. Upper body is soft, floppy like a ragdoll. Once we've got the movement, we can bring in the breath, inhaling as we sit up, exhaling as we fold forward. As the body becomes familiar with the movement, it might be nice to push into the heels and stretch a little more into the hamstrings. That's it. A few more rounds. And the next time the right leg is extended forward, keep it there. And again, just watch the process as the body settles. Noticing any subtle vibrations, warmth from the navel down to the base of the spine, the area of the perineum, below the bikini line, the area of the navel. And once the body is settled, we're moving into a squat to touch on that first energy center, the root center. So for this, we're moving into a squat. You could either work with your elbows on your knees or on your thighs. Make sure that the toes are pointing in the same direction as your knees, that you're comfortable in the position. You don't want to be in any pain at all in the squat position. So finding where that is for you, ideally stick the bottom out, have the weight in the heels, keep the legs active. If you wanted to go a little deeper into this squat, you could fold forward and bring the hands to the floor. Make sure it's the legs that are holding you in place. And while we're here, we're working with that breath of fire. So draw a breath in and release all the breath from the lungs. And then fill your lungs 3/4 of the way full. And then we go. If it gets too much in the legs, you could bring the forearms onto the thighs. Keep those legs active though. Keep finding your rhythm, or stay in a rhythm with that breath of fire. Strong in the physical body, solid like the earth. We're going for 10 more rounds of breath. As you exhale, bring the fingertips to the floor, lift the buttocks to the sky. Have a little shake out with the legs and come back down onto the floor. Finding a comfortable seat. Allowing any heat we've generated in the body to heal the body. Observing again any shifts of energy around the area of the perineum, our root center, Muladhara. And as the body settles, we'll move up to our second asana and our second energy center, Swadhisthana. So for this, soles of the feet together. You can have the heels as close or as far away from your perineum as is comfortable. If you can't hold on to your toes, you can hold your ankles or the thighs. You could put some blocks underneath the knees if this is not very comfortable in your hips, some cushions or some blocks, something to support those knees. Come forward on the sitting bones. Once your legs are in a comfortable position or not a painful position, we're coming forward onto the sitting bones, lengthening through the spine. We can draw the shoulder blades back down towards the hips, expansive in the chest, straight through the spine, finding our breath and working with that full yogi breath. Let the body gently move and pulse with the in and the exhale. Maybe folding a little deeper into the position as we exhale. Exaggerating the movement that the breath creates within the body. Linking to the element of water and fluidity. We can take 2 more rounds of breath. And on the exhale, just let the back relax and collapse the upper body forward, folding forward. Bringing the forehead towards the toes. Might be nice here just to turn the palms up and really soften all the muscles in the back. Stay in with that full yogic breath. Releasing any tensions from the back as we exhale. And after the next exhale, we can turn the palms down to the floor and walk the hands back towards yourself, gently stacking the spine upon itself. And we can push the legs forwards and start to pound the inside of the legs, releasing all the creative energy around the sacral center, Swadhisthana. Creative sexual energy, center of our self-expression. And again, just find a comfortable seat. Being aware of the area just below the bikini line, in line with the spine. Swadhisthana chakra. Home of our self-expression, our individuality. And then from here we're moving up to our third energy center. For this, we're taking a bridge pose. So if we roll the spine into the floor, lengthening through the spine as we roll down. Once you're down, you can bring your heels towards your buttocks. Take the feet as wide as the hips. We're going to push into the feet, find the four corners in the feet, lift the hips away from the floor. So lift the hips high enough. We're resting around the middle of the shoulder blade. Check that you're comfortable within your knees. You can adjust your feet, taking them wider if you're not comfortable in the knees, if it's a bit tight. We can also tilt the pelvis backwards, so we're drawing the pubic bone up towards the navel, engaging the glutes, and we can gently press the arms into the floor, so we're supportive of the spine, and we're ready to go back to that breath of fire. So release the breath from your lungs. Feel the lungs 3/4 of the way full, and then we go. Finding a comfortable rhythm with that breath of fire, or maybe blowing out the candles, or you can work with that long, deep yogi breath. Stay with whatever breath you've chosen to go with. Tapping into your inner fire, fire of our aspirations. Maybe tapping into your willpower as the muscles maybe start to fatigue. We're going for 5 more rounds of breath. Releasing all the breath on that 5th breath out. Gently roll the spine, release the spine back to the floor. Once the hips hit down, maybe just regain any length you may have lost in the spine. Check you've got room. We're going to straighten our legs and staying with this third energy center. So arms down by the side. We're lifting up the right leg, about a 45-degree angle. Bring the knee in towards the chest. Extend the leg forward. Lower it back down to the floor. Onto the other side, leg comes up in at 45-degree angle, extend the leg, lower it back down. It's an inhale as we lift, exhale knee to chest, inhale extend, exhale lower down onto the other side, inhale, exhale down. You could do this with 2 legs if there's no issues in the lower back. Lowering the legs down. I would advise though, because I'm the problems in my back, bring the hands underneath the buttocks. If you're doing a double leg lift, hands underneath the buttocks, so it's really supportive of the spine. And the breath is the same. We breathe in as we lift the knees, exhale knees to chest, inhale extend, exhale lower. In, in, lovely. Again, you can find your own rhythm. Maybe if the muscles are fatiguing, so you're tapping in to your willpower. That's it, feeling that fire, let that fire drive you, at least with this movement, get a good taste of that inner energy. We'll just go for 2 more rounds. Lovely. Once you finish that second round, we're bringing the knees in towards the chest and floating the head, the neck, the shoulders away from the floor, extending the legs and bend the legs, rock up and rock back towards the shoulders. Back and forth, shaking up the energy. And the next time you're up, we're staying up, and again, just watching that process as the body settles, feeling that heat around the area of the solar plexus. Letting it burn up any negativity, allowing for that warmth we've generated to heal the body. We can stay in our comfortable seated position, or maybe cross your legs if they wasn't already, and we'll move up to our heart center. For this, if we bring the thumbs to the breastbone, make sure you've got room out to the side because we're taking the arms out to the side. As they go out, it's an inhale. As they come back in, it's an exhale. Make sure that your wrist stays just below the shoulders and just in front of the shoulder joint. So just below, just in front of the shoulder joint. So we're not overworking, extending the ligaments that support the shoulder. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. As you take the arms wide, spread the fingers wide as well. Really stretch into the palms. And then as you become familiar with the movement and synchronizing the breath to the movement, speed it up. Holding your focus in the center of the chest and heart chakra. Keep going, try and soften around the tops of the shoulders. And we'll just go for 10 more rounds. And then just turn the palms up, keeping your attention in the center of the chest. Perhaps feeling a lightness around the chest. As we've stimulated all the lighter energies we find around our heart center, that of love and joy and compassion. And as we're resting here now, imagine as you're breathing in, you're feeding into those lighter energies in the heart. And as you breathe out, let it spread into the rest of the body. Linked to the element of air, maybe you can feel a lightness that comes from this practice. And just a couple of more rounds of breath. And we'll release that practice and move on to our throat center. The element of the ether and the center of truth and communication. For this, we're coming into shoulder stand. If you're not familiar, if you're not a fan of shoulder stand, then get a block and place it underneath your hips, underneath the sacrum. You can lift the legs. We're coming into shoulder stand. And then if we can take the legs apart to a 30-degree angle, and I can't stress enough, if you're not adept at this pose or comfortable and you can't breathe in this pose, grab yourself a block or a pillow, pull it underneath your hips. Don't do this. Don't do this at home. Only if you're comfortable. We're working again with that breath of fire. So just slightly rotate the upper arms out. Make sure the pressure is on your shoulders, not on your spine. Legs at a 30-degree angle wide. We're releasing all the breath from the lungs. Drawing the breath in, 3/4 of the way, filling the lungs. And then we go. Finding a comfortable rhythm with the breath of fire. Maybe blowing out those candles. Maybe working the full yogic breath. Maybe a combination of all three. Do your best. Whatever breath you're working, hold your attention in the center of the throat. Vishuddhi chakra, our 5th energy center. Ten more rounds of breath. Releasing all the breath on that 5th breath. You can bring the legs together from shoulder stand. Rest your knees towards your forehead, maybe on your forehead. If you've got the block, put your feet to the floor, one foot, the other foot down, remove the block. We can all bring the knees to chest and rock and roll back and forth, or knees to head. You can hold on to the back of the legs there and just rock back and forth. Next time you're up, stay up, find a comfortable seat. Straightening the spine, we're staying with the neck, dropping the chin to the chest. Bringing the left ear to the left shoulder, gently looking up to the sky, right ear, right shoulder. Chin across the chest, rotate the neck. It's more of a circumduction than a rotation. Be careful not to squash anywhere too strongly along the spine. Try and bring a bit of length into that uppermost part of the spine as we turn the head. Holding your focus in the center of the throat. We bring energy into that 5th center. Next time your chin is at the chest, circle back in the opposite direction. massaging the thyroid gland, in our cells all the means they need to regenerate. And after that next time chin is at the chest, leave it there and slowly bring the chin parallel to the floor, continuing to hold our attention in the center of the throat, letting our words run true, strengthening our communication skills. And tapping in more to our intuition is the power we find around this fifth energy center. From here, we're moving up to the sixth and seventh center, Ajna Chakra, the third eye, crown center. For this, we are working with a cat-cow movement. So if you move onto all fours, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, we're going to drop the head and look towards the thighs, lift the navel, tuck the tailbone under, and then we lift the gaze, dropping the front ribs down, turning the sitting bones up. As we come into the cat stretch, arch in the back, we're releasing the breath. And as we take the cow stretch, that is our inhale. We can lead into the movement from the head, letting the head, the neck guide us into the positions. That's it. Just as we were working with the neck, we want to remain spacious through the spine. Freeing up the spine, nourishing the eyes, the glands within the brain. Bringing energy to those last two of the seven major energy centers within the body. Next time you're in the cat stretch, stay in the cat stretch and slowly take your buttocks back towards your heels for a child pose and relax in child pose. Hold your focus in the middle of the head in line with the middle of the eyebrows, the space of Ajna Chakra. A place of knowing and seeing the bigger picture. Rest with your focus in that sixth energy center. Noticing once again any shifts of energy, movement. Maybe light around that sixth center in the middle of the head. And we can stay within our child pose. If we can now bring the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, extend your arms. We can stay in this cat position, although if it's a little squash and claustrophobic, maybe you could put a block or a few cushions underneath your forehead. Otherwise, head's resting down. The move, I'll show you the move first, you can watch the move, is just to lift the arms once away from the body, about a third of the way away, lift and lift again. So 3 lifting movements of the arms and we lower them back down. So you're breaking your maximum into 3, up, 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 and 1 smooth movement down. The breath to go with this movement is we inhale as the arms come up, so we can break the breath into 3, into belly, rib cage up to collarbones. That's handy, isn't it? And 1 breath out, collarbones, rib cage, belly. Although you could just break that inhale.
into 3 as we lift the arms, 1 long smooth breath out as we lower the arms. 1 long smooth breath out. Bring in even more energy up into all of those glands within the brain. That's it, bringing balance to the whole of the endocrine system. Maybe a sense of peacefulness and bliss to the mind. We're going for 2 more rounds of breath. And once those arms come down, we can bring the hands beside the head and gently push yourself back up to a seated position. Finding a comfortable seat and noticing the effects of that last practice, particularly around our 6th energy center and above. Maybe experiencing a sense of lightness, more aware of the space, your aura around your body. And just for a moment, enjoy any pleasant sensations that may have come from the practice. And you could feel free to lay down and stay in a relaxed position. I am going to leave it up to you what you do next. It might be nice to try one of the other meditations that I have on the channel, and do drop me any comments. Let me know how you got on with the practice. I hope you did like it as much as I do.